Hi everyone, welcome to Crochet Tutorials. I'm Kim. In this video we're going to be making this fantastically cute little flower motif square, and as you can see I have made it in the two colours. It is for a project that I'm making at the moment, so I'm making a number, of course, of these squares in different colours with the flower motif, as well as the plain white. And as you can see, the white just looks fantastic. It almost looks like a snowflake in the centre. But it is a really simple square to make. The most difficult stitch is the treble crochet, which if you're in the UK is the double treble. And otherwise it is double crochet and single crochet and a couple of slip stitches to get us into our working spaces. So this one is made in 10 ply yarn, and it brings up a decent size square. Of course, your yarn choice is entirely up to you. Do remember to match your hook to your yarn. While I was working these squares, I was using a 5.5mm hook. So it brings up a square of, what's that, about 5 inches. So certainly is a easy square to make. There's only 5 rounds. It is made with a magic circle in the center. If you don't want to use that, don't. You can feel free to chain 4 for your center and then work everything into that ring that you make. I like the magic circle because it closes that hole in the middle. Of course, if you use the chain 4 ring, then you'll have a smaller hole in the middle as well, which is absolutely fine. The square is quite holy. So, all right, grab some yarn and a hook and we'll get started making this. Okay, so in this video I am going to be making the plain white, but of course I will tell you where to fasten off and to rejoin your yarn for the one with the colour in the centre. First thing we need to do is create a magic circle, and if you've never made one before, it's really simple, but it can be tricky to work into initially. So lay your yarn across your hand like this, just hang on to it, wrap it round the back of your hand so it's just wrapped around the back of your hand, and then come up and cross over and hang on to the yarn so you've made this little X. And bring in your hook, go under that first strand, grab your working yarn and turn it up. So you've got a loop on your hook, then grab that working yarn again and pull it through. And that will actually not disintegrate on its own now. You have to pull on those ends to disintegrate this magic circle, and that's because of that second pulling through the loop we did, or that pulling through the loop with the working yarn that we did. Alright, so when we make this portion of the circle, these are double trebles, or in the US terms they are treble crochets, and that is where you yarn over twice. I'll just show you what I mean. So what we're going to do first is chain 4, 2, 3, 4 to get to the height of that stitch, and then yarn over your hook twice like that and go into the ring, yarn over, pull through. So now you have 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through the remaining 2, and then chain 2, and then do that again. So with the double treble, through 2, through 2, and through 2, and another double treble or treble crochet, whichever terminology you use. And what we're going to create is 6 of these groups of 2 treble crochets followed by a chain 2. So we're going to chain 2 again and yarn over twice, into the ring, yarn over, pull through, 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. And again, yarn over twice, yarn over, pull through 2, 2, and 2, and then chain 2. And yarn over twice. So these are, if your magic ring gives you trouble like that, just shut it a little bit and hold on to your stitches. So we've got the yarn over twice, go in, grab the yarn, and treble crochets are super easy. They're just not that commonly used, but certainly when you want, you know, something that has a little bit of length, the treble crochet is a wonderful stitch. So chain 2, 1 treble and 2 trebles. Now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need 1 more set of 2 treble crochets. We're always chaining 2 between them, between the sets of 2. And at the end here, don't forget to chain 2 before you close your ring. And if you're not using a magic ring, that's okay. You'll just have a hole and that's perfectly acceptable. And then slip stitch into the top of that chain 4 you did in your first treble. And you should have something that looks like this, which is the center of this flower. So from here we need actually to slip stitch into this next space, because that's where we're going to be working. We're going to be putting in these petals around the side. So if you just slip stitch off into that space and then chain 3 and then put in 4 more double crochets. If you're in the UK, you are going to be calling these treble crochets, whatever you call them. They're the same thing, where you yarn over once into the space, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So once you've done that, those 4 double crochets, you will have 5, including this chain 3 to start. And all of our petals consist of 5 double crochets. So then we're just going to slip stitch down to the bottom of that, so it makes the petal nice and rounded. And then we're going to do a single crochet into the top of this pair of trebles here. So just single crochet there, and then slip stitch into the next space. And instead of chaining 3, we're just going to yarn over and put a double crochet directly into there. And it might be a little bit tricky because you haven't actually chained up, but I find that it keeps, rather than having the edge look like this where it's quite high, it keeps the edge matching this edge here. So then we need 4 more double crochets into that space. And every petal shall have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then slip stitch. So when you do a petal, you slip stitch into the space and you also slip stitch out, and then single crochet again into this space at the top of the treble crochets, slip stitch into the next space, and 5 double crochets. 3, 4, and 5. Slip stitch down to the bottom, single crochet into this space at the top of those 2 trebles, and slip stitch into the next space. So remember to slip stitch into and out of your spaces, and put 5 double crochets in between those slip stitches, and in this space at the top of the 2 treble crochets goes a single. So we've got 1 double crochet, 2, 3, 4 and 5. We slip stitch down to the base to keep those sides down and put our single crochet. In the UK you'll call that a double crochet. Put a single crochet into that space and then slip stitch into the next one. So I'll leave you to do the next 2 spaces, the last 2 petals. If you need to rewind it, feel free to do so, but I'll meet you at the end when we're joining to finish this row. Okay, so I have put in my last petal. I just need to slip stitch down, and then what we've got here is the place where we finished our round of treble crochets and then slip stitched directly into this space to start that new petal. And so there is a slip stitch already in the top of that space where we've put the single crochet. So all you need to do is single crochet into that, and that completes the round. Now if you were making a coloured centre like this one, this is actually where you would tie off and then attach your new yarn. And what I do is attach it into that single crochet that I've just made. I always attach my new colour with a slip knot on my hook and slip stitch to attach. Other people use different methods of changing colour. Whatever method works for you is fine. We will be working the ends in at the end anyway, but certainly this is where you would change to the white or the other colour for your surrounding stitches. So here I'm not going to do that. I am actually just going ahead and making the plain white square. So from here what we need to do is chain up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the reason we're chaining up 5 is because it acts as a double crochet and a chain 3 space. Technically it's only 5 chains, and I realize a double crochet normally is 3 chains, and then a chain 3 would be 3 chains. But I found that the 6 chains here looked a little bit bulky, and it sat out crazily on the edge here. So chain 5 works better. And then you can see at the top of your petal here, you've actually got the tops of the stitches, and this 3rd double crochet is the actual apex of that petal. So for this round we're going to be single crocheting into that stitch there. So just come in and go under those loops and then single crochet to there. Then we're going to chain 3 again, 1, 2, 3, and double crochet into that single crochet that we put in the previous round. So we just double crochet into that stitch and chain 3 again. And then we're single crocheting into this central double crochet of our petal and chain 3. And then double crocheting into that single crochet that we made there. 1, 2, 3. So whenever we're going in the top of a petal, we're doing a single crochet, and then we chain 3, and then when we go in between the petals, it's a double crochet, and that's just to get that height. But you'll notice on this that it gives this lovely look between the petals as well. So 1, 2, 3, single crochet into the top of the petal, 1, 2, 3, double crochet into the space between that single crochet that we put in the previous round. 1, 2, 3, single crochet into the top of that petal, chain 3 and double crochet into that single crochet that we put in the previous round. It's a super easy flower, this one, but it is extraordinarily effective. So single crocheting into the top of the petal, and already we're back at the start. So now we've got our little double crochet here, or the chain that's acting as a double crochet, and I will just slip stitch into that third chain, and this is what you should end up with. You'll have all these chain spaces around your petals, which of course is where we're going to work some double crochets now. So from here, I like to slip stitch into that space because that just positions me correctly, and then chain 3 and put in 2 more double crochets into that chain space. Then in the next chain space, we're just going to work straight into there. We're going to do 3 more double crochets, 3, a chain 3 and 3 more double crochets, and this is our first corner. 2 and 3. So all our corners will consist of 3 double crochets, a chain 3 and 3 double crochets. Then we're going to work into the next space, 3 double crochets, 3 double crochets in the next space, 2 and 3, and then a corner in the next space. So that's 3 double crochets, 3 double crochets, a chain 3 and 3 more double crochets. 2 and 3. Then like this side, in the next 2 spaces, we're putting 3 double crochets in each space. 1, 2 and 3, and then 1, 2 and 3, and then we'll work our next corner in the following space. 1, 2, 3 double crochets, a chain 3 and 3 more double crochets. 3. So we have this side left, which is 3 double crochets in the next chain space, 3 double crochets in the following chain space, and 3, and a corner. This is our final corner, 2 and 3, followed by a chain 3, 1, 2 and 3. And our final space is a 3 double crochet space, because you'll remember at the beginning you did 3 double crochets and then worked the corner. So we need to complete the side, which is 3 double crochets in the chain space next to it. And before I tie this off, I always have a look and just make sure, because there have been times where I've just gone crazy making the sides and made it a little bit wrong. So always have a look. We've got our 2 chain spaces with 3 double crochets on each side, and then we have our 4 corners, so we're right to go. As per usual, you would just slip stitch to the top of that chain 3 from the beginning and chain 3 to begin your next round. This is actually the final round of this square. We've just put in this round here and we only have one round left to go. Of course, if you want to double crochet another round around that, then you can. I actually like the square like this, especially in the white. It has a nice size, and it is great for making a blanket from squares. So what we've done is we've chained 3 to count as a double crochet out of this particular double crochet here. So essentially we're going to double crochet all the way around. So you just go into the top of each stitch, and then when you get to the corner, work your corners. So into the top of each double crochet from the previous round, and here I don't go into the top of this one here because we're going to be putting 3 double crochets for the corner, and our chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and 3 more double crochets in that corner, 2 and 3. And so similarly, I don't go into the top of this stitch either, just go into the top of this one here, and it means that it won't be too overcrowded, and you don't want your corners, your edges to start to ripple. You want them to sit nice and flat. So we're just going into the top of every stitch now as we go across. And when we get to the corner, we're doing the same every time, putting in 3 double crochets, chain 3, and 3 more double crochets. Now of course, remember this double crochet I'm leaving because I've double crocheted to the right of it, and 3, chain 3 for a corner, and 3 more double crochets, and this one, although it's kind of begging for a stitch there, isn't it? But it's not going to get one. We're going to go into that one there. And you do that all the way around until we get back to this point here. Remember, putting 3 double crochets, a chain 3, and 3 more double crochets into the next 2 corners, and I'll meet you back when we're done. So we're back here at the end. Of course, all we need to do is slip stitch to the top of that chain 3 that we did to begin this round, and tie off. Now I give myself a decent tail for weaving in the ends, and anyone who has watched my tutorials before knows that I don't consider a square or a hexagon or whatever complete until these ends are woven in. So if you have your own preference for weaving in ends, then feel free to stop this video here. But if you'd like to know the most secure way of weaving in ends, then I'll just show you here. So we've got our yarn needle, we threaded that with our tail, and you can see here that where your, I don't know if this camera is going to focus on that, where your stitches all come down into the center of the circle, there's all these lovely straight lines, and I go in under those. So you can see where you're coming out, go into the thread or underneath the thread of yarn just behind where you came out. So don't go in where you're coming out, but go in just behind that and scooch under a few of those stitches. Keep coming around and just pull the yarn through those. Don't pull too tight. And then you can see again where you've come out you need to go in again to go back the other way, just in front of that position, and go underneath those. And again, don't come out where you went in. So, and then we'll just do that one more time, grabbing up a few strands of yarn and going in underneath them. If you pass that across 3 times like that and then cut, that's going to be really secure and it won't go anywhere. This end is a little bit different because of course you are at the top of a double crochet with this end, and we need to get down the double crochet. Here we go. We need to get down the double crochet to these spaces at the bottom of those stitches. So all I do is just work my needle into the actual stitch, and I don't want to make it, I don't want to wreck that continuity across the top there, and then come into the bottom of these stitches and just scoot that needle in under a few of those, pull it through, and apply the same principle that I just used in the center to come back. And that will be super secure. So the general rule of thumb, if you change direction twice, so go one way, go back the other way, and then the other way, and that's that nice 3-way but 2 changes of directions, then it'll be nice and secure. And you can see that it's a fairly straight square. There is a little bit of wonkiness to the side, and that could be blocked out if you were going to block the squares, but actually none of my squares have been blocked, and they sit beautifully and flat. They're all really straight. These are actually ready to sew together now. So that's that. If you are new to the channel and you haven't subscribed, please do so, and make sure you hit that bell icon and set your notifications to all so you can stay up to date with all the latest crochet stuff on this channel. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you next time.